Test, test, test. What's going on? Happy 420, everybody. I just wanted to say that I don't smoke or anything like that, guys. But our profits are here. Do you guys see the profits for the day? Over $1,000 profit. I currently have a position on JDST. If you guys can see the overall pattern for /GC, currently getting rejected by this not this 100-day EMA, but the 1 day 1 minute EMA. When is /GC going to reverse? And that is when I'm going to want to cover profits. Does that make sense? I want to hear if everyone. I want to wait till everyone starts tuning in. I want everyone to understand why is it that I'm waiting for the reversal on /GC to cover profits on JDST. If that makes sense, let me just tell me yes. So as you guys can see, up $1,155 on the day. Slight resistance at around $48. That kind of makes sense. I'm going to start going down through the series of different time frames to see if I can see any indication on why this would begin to reverse or start to pull back. So 5 day, 5 minute, we can see that there's a break of pattern. It was obviously showing signs of a descending pattern. It was actually the 5 day, 15 minute. Do you see that how it was always getting rejected by the 5 day, 15 minute resistance? Always. Right here, it got rejected. Boom. Break of pattern. It's now starting to show slight signs of a reversal. /GC. Let's take and keep a very close eye out on this. Looking at this 180-day analysis, when is this potentially going to bounce? Do you guys see what I'm seeing on why it might bounce on this SMA line? Why it still has a little bit more margin to give off. But again, it doesn't have to 100%. Again, last time it didn't actually touch the SMA line before it began to reverse. Very important to understand that yes, it does have the potential. Like it would make sense, like technically, like why it can potentially bounce here. Sometimes it's gone below the SMA line and then it reverses. Let's just take into consideration that it is selling off. That's great, and that there might be a slight reversal coming soon, right? Especially because we see all this, this potential that it has. Where is this? 1335. Let's set our alerts. 1337. So this thing's definitely trying to push back up. 1 day, 1 minute. It's trying to push back up. You can see a lot of consolidation happening at around 1339, and it's trying to reverse back up. That makes sense on why it's trying to do that. /GC. Let's see where JDST is at. JDST, we just made new highs. We pushed above $48. Let's see. I'm going to have my limit order to sell. So I'm going to do sell. So for all those that are always asking, like, hey, how is it that you can change like the order type and stuff like that? It's right here. You guys can do like stop loss, stop limit, trailing stop, all this good stuff right here. I'm gonna do limit order, and I'm just gonna put mine like way up here. So 48, let's say 48.50. 48.50 limit order, confirm, send. All right. So you guys can see on the day up $1,220. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Okay, perfect. I like it. And if I'm not mistaken, Drip should have made new highs today. Yep, 100%. So /CL, I did see that it started getting rejected after market hours. Guys, I could not sleep last night. I don't know about you guys, but I was up till 3 in the morning last night just responding to messages. So if you guys got a message from me like super late last night, I was planning out like future plans, not future plans, but like what I would like to complete for Learn, Plan, Profit this upcoming week. Mackenzie, which is our developer, we're going to be implementing this like free first software that it's just something very simple that I think is going to add a lot of value to the people that are already part of Learn, Plan, Profit, just because, we've been growing very quickly, and I want to make sure that what it is that I'm trading and what it is that I see value in, that we create our own software that makes it much more easy for you guys to understand kind of my whole plan, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing. So I'll give you guys more details later. I don't want to get copyrighted. Let's see. I don't know if you guys can even hear the music. Probably not over like my loud voice. But /CL. What I was looking for all those that were asking me, hey Ricky, like, let me just set my alerts on this one real quick. I really do apologize. Wow, this thing's gapping up. So when people were asking me yesterday, hey Ricky, what do you think about drip? Did you guys see that drip yesterday did not have a red day? It was consolidating. And that was one of the first times ever in like the past 2 weeks that it was able to do that. That was a really good sign, right? Now, because it was able to do that, what I was asking myself was like, okay, now let's look at /CL. There's not a direct correlation, but there's a similar correlation. What is going on with /CL? And can there be a break of pattern? I looked at /CL last night, and it was still holding above. The EMA line was still pointing up, and it was still holding above this 180-day EMA. Luckily, due to the pattern, right now it's pushing down. But again, it's done this before. It's pushed down, it's got rejected by this EMA, and then it reverses back up. Please be careful. Please be on high alert. Yes, we did make new highs, or we did start making new highs. That's exactly what I wanted to see with drip. We wanted to start seeing some sign of a reversal. Look at where it's at right now. It's still actively trending down below this 180-day EMA, right? And today's just one green day. Don't let one, so again, huge pullback, one green day. Don't let one green day think that, it's back in the game. Be on high alert. If you want to cover some profits today, great. Again, look at all this margin that it has to recover. It has so much margin to recover. Just note that, right? So with that understanding, let's make sure that we trade smart and that we understand the overall pattern of how drip is currently trading, as we need it to continue to hold and make new highs. If it continues to pull back and then goes back to where it was, then that's not very attractive, right? My goodness, JDST is dropping like a stone. It's not dropping like a stone, but let's take a look. This alert always goes off every single morning. It's actually a daily reminder. That's what kind of daily reminders mean, Ricky. So again, looking at /GC, is there a break of pattern? What I'm going to do is I'm going to set an alert for there to be a break above this. And if it starts to reverse back up, yikes, it's getting very close. Oh, it actually just broke it. Has it done this before? Yes, and then it gets rejected. This isn't good. This is no good. Let's see. I want to see if it actually starts to reverse or kind of what's going on here. So let me take a step back again on this 180-day analysis and see if we got any closer. Twitter just went above $33. It's one of my alerts that just went off. There we go. And again, /GC and JDST and JNUG, like there is a correlation there. Again, it's not an exact correlation. I need you guys to understand that. I got a bunch of questions yesterday. Like we've talked about this before. So again, you're never supposed to rely solely on one indicator. So at least you guys, as long as you have that understanding, then you're good. You can use it as a reference because sometimes the patterns are very similar and they can work very well together. But again, never rely on any indicator. So do you guys see what's kind of going on here? We want to see if either it gets rejected. If it gets rejected, then that's great. That's great for JDST. It can continue that uptrend rally. If we start seeing this thing start pushing up, I'm not going to want to hold JDST anymore, because then that would almost make sense on why JDST would start to sell off and JNUG would start to recover. Does that correlation make sense to you guys? You're like, Ricky, of course it does. We've gone through the course. Duh. Let's see. Happy 420. What's going on, guys? You guys should be doing pretty good. I saw that natural gas made new highs today. If I'm not mistaken, I got an alert that natural gas made new highs or something like that. So you guys should be up if I'm not mistaken, correct? So DGAS, yeah, down on the day, it's about 1.33%. So great. It must mean that you are up. Again, DGAS is the one that's currently trending up now, though. So again, on this 180-day analysis, let's make sure that we take that into consideration. We called out the resistance perfectly at $30. Now it's showing signs of a pullback. Watch out for the potential bounce. So again, you're trading the inverse of what's it called, of DGAS. So make sure that you look at the overall patterns for /NG and also the patterns for UGAS and DGAS and where the support and resistance are, and see if DGAS is going to start to bounce. So that's something very important that you want to keep a very close eye out for. Where are you? My goodness, JDST. What the heck? I'm on it. Okay. It looks like /GC must have gotten rejected. Let's take a look at that. Yep, there it goes. It got rejected. That's exactly what we wanted to see. And do you guys see? I actually filmed a video yesterday talking about like why I covered profits on. I think it was on. What was it that I was? What was it? I think it might have been yesterday. I'm not too sure if it was yesterday or the day prior. It was very small profits. But I talked about why is it that I covered profits when there was a break of pattern. And a lot of people are always asking me like, hey, when do you know when there's a confirmation to get in and when is there a confirmation to get out? And that's what I'm going to start filming myself doing. I was just by myself and I was just filming my screen. And I just wanted to get the like for you guys to see not just me covering profits and not just me entering a position, but explaining my thought process and the pattern that I saw and why I wanted to do that. So I'm going to be uploading more of those videos on the Learn Plan Profit course within the next couple of days, because I think that thought process is going to be very effective for a lot of our members, so they can understand actually why is it that I'm doing stuff. It's not just like, oh, I'm covering profits because I'm let's say up $1,290. That's not a reason like why. Like has no correlation to the overall patterns for JDST, right? But now if there's a break of pattern, regardless of the dollar value that I'm up, again, I wasn't focusing on the dollar value yesterday. I was focusing on the pattern and why it was that I was covering profits. So there's a lot of consolidation happening right here. It looks like we're having a pretty. Do you guys see this like almost like bear flag pattern? So overall, like very horizontal support, and then it starts to try to recover again. I kind of don't like this. The reason why is because it's building a very strong support. So pretty much we can say that 13.38 is the overall support, and as it continues, the more times it bounces there, the stronger that support becomes. You guys know that, right? So the more time that, it doesn't mean, again, 100%, it just means that it's validating that support quite a bit of times, right? And then that means that it's making that support that much stronger, so then when it comes up, there's that much more demand for this thing to start pushing up, and that's exactly what's happening right now. So what I'm going to start to do is, it looks like it's having somewhat of a peak. The progression of how much it's increasing, it's definitely slowing down, so the opportunity cost for me might not just be there, right? Might not be there as much anymore. So what I'm going to ask myself is there going to be a break of pattern? So is there going to be a pullback? Am I going to want to cover profits then? Or do I want to be very risky and completely wait for there to be like, you drop below the EMA and then cover profits then? So these are the questions that you have to ask yourself. Do you want to be conservative and just cover profits where you see some hesitation happen, or do you want to be a little bit riskier and wait till there's a break of pattern, but then you put up the risk of having to give off some of your profits, right? So I'm going to see what happens right now with /. Yep, it looks like it's getting rejected. It looks like it's getting rejected. I think we might have one more decent push down. So it did this a lot over here. Do you guys see this? It did a lot of consolidation. It was really validating like the support right here. And then it got rejected very hard, and then it pulled all the way back down. And that's kind of what I want to see, but we need to see a strong rejection. And the MACD is in our favor as of now. I'm going to take a deeper look right now. Yeah, RSI is still pointing down. MACD is still going lower. There's no sign of a reversal just yet for /GC. So let's see for JDST. And also for JDST, I mean, we're at the $48 price point, which is a pretty solid resistance based on previous patterns, $48 to like $50, right? So guys, we still have no water at my house. My roommates won't buy water. So what course is Ricky talking about? I hope you're kidding. I'm talking about the Learn Plan Profit course. The course you're supposed to be in. Please tell me you're kidding. I don't know if you got confused based on something that I said, but yeah, it's the Learn Plan Profit course. Come on. Rejection. Yes. Rejection. Come on. Let's go. Nope, no rejection there. It's actually pushing up. Okay, yeah, there it goes. Do you guys see this? There might be a break of pattern here. Here we go. It's getting very close to the EMA line, and not even just that, but it's getting very close to, there it goes. It's actually, what pattern, guys, if you guys can help me out, what's the pattern that you guys see going on right now? What is it that we call this when it's starting to show signs of a slight reversal? Can you guys help me out? What kind of pattern is this? The curling EMA, yes. Guys, that's what it's all about. Having fun, understanding patterns. So we got a nice little pullback. We're going to get a nice little push up probably, and then that's when I'm going to cover profits. So it's too much consolidation is happening right now. Curling, I like it. Downward, downward curl. I like it. I like it. I love curly fries. All right, so let's go ahead and set up a plan. All right, let's be serious for like 2 minutes. Looking at /GC, we could see that there's a break of pattern, 100%, right? It's starting to make new highs, or it broke above the EMA. There's no question about that, right? Let's see if we can get a slight little pullback. So we're at $1,100 profit. I'm going to see if we can get just a nice little push up to about 48. Let's see. Nope. It's actually getting rejected. So is there anything that is telling us that this thing might get rejected? So let's see if it could actually hold below 1340. If it breaks above 1340, then that's overall confirmation, and I'm going to want to cover profits. This thing might have the potential to move all the way back up to, there it goes, and it's pushing up pretty strong. You know, there's no question about that. I'm trying to be patient. You can see the slight little hesitation that it has to break above 1340. Let's see what the wall looks like. Okay. We do want to see a rejection. Like, I would like to see a rejection, slight little pullback, and I'll go ahead and I'll cover profits there. But I hope you guys know, like, why is it that I'm looking at this, right? So it's getting, there it goes, going from green to red. JDST did pull back quite a bit. Here we go. All right, there we go. It's starting to get rejected once again. So it's showing a very similar pattern to this one. Do you guys see this? When it pulled back, validated that support, pushed up, and almost tried to make new highs, right? Not new highs, but there's a break of pattern, and then it was at a resistance that was a pretty solid price point. Same thing happening here. 1340 is a very, if you guys look at the overall patterns on the 180-day chart, 1340 is a very solid resistance. So we got JDST now. Where's it at? We start seeing a slight little push up, and I'm going to see where we see the overall pattern go with this one. Okay. So again, I'm just trying to explain my thought process as it goes. So one of two things is kind of what I expect to happen here. It's either going to try to bounce and then recover, and there it goes. And I don't want that. Or it's going to continue to get rejected and make lower lows, right? That's one of two things of kind of what I'm expecting. If it bounces here, that's not something that I want to partake in, because if it's bouncing here, it's validating this EMA as a support, and then that's going to act as a support to continue to push this thing up. But it does have the potential to continue to sell off, just like it did last time when it pushed here and then just got rejected and continued to descend. So one of two things. Understand that, you know, I mean, there we go. A slight rejection. Again, let's see where that bottom VWAP is at. So where's JDST at? Here we go. And it's right around where that EMA line is at. Let's see. All right. Can we get a rejection? No. Too much consolidation is happening. The risk is getting a little bit higher for me, and I don't want to partake in that. So Can we get out at 47.80? I know I might be getting out a little bit too early, but I am 100% comfortable with getting out there. So what I'll do is I'll do it in between. So hold up. It is getting rejected. Come on. All right. Pushing around 47.90. There we go. 47.90/GC. Can we go below 13.39? Is it going to validate this as a support? I have to be patient. Guys, you guys know how conservative is that I am. And when I'm up, I don't like to give back profits. Okay, there we see this getting rejected. That's exactly what I want to see. There we go. We need some Keynes money. There we go. Rejection. MACD getting a little bit smaller. So we saw like when it was starting to recover and stuff like that. That was pretty sketch. I don't know about you guys, but I was like, I mean, I was calm. Don't get me wrong, but what the heck? How did this thing get rejected? And there it goes, starting to recover. TELL broke above 1038. Okay, there's that green candle. JDSC, man. Ricky, you should learn to cover profits, huh? A little bit earlier. Let's see. Where is it going? /. There we go. So 1339. So we understand that the overall support is around 1339. Resistance is at around 13340, right? Or 1340. So we should see this thing try to validate this middle VWAP, and then it try to push back up again. Let's see what we can get. So it is valid, and like there's no break of pattern just yet, right? It's still actively trending up theoretically with the understanding of middle VWAP and top VWAP, but it's very horizontal. The middle VWAP is no longer pointing up. Top VWAP is no longer pointing up. It's very horizontal, right? So because of that, I'm a little, antsy of if I should cover profits or not. /CL, again, getting /GC, getting rejected. CL, where did I get that? So let's see what you guys have to say. I can hear Cardi B. This is like how I trade every morning. Like after I'm done with like the morning chats, guys, I put the music. My roommates hate it because it's like really early. It's 6:58 a.m. So usually our calls are done here around 7:30. And I am, blasting music and I'm just trading away. So, yeah, you trade in your own, like, some people like to trade in a very quiet environment. Sometimes I like that, but sometimes it's Friday. We had a very fun and stressful week, no question about that. So I think there's someone at my door. Guys, give me one quick second. All right. So we're still seeing /GC trying to get rejected by this thing, but you could see that JDST is now struggling to hold above. Do you see how it's now, the EMA line is now pointing down a little bit more aggressively? It's right around that middle VWAP. I think I pushed my luck now. I'm going to cover profits on the next push up. So I'm going to do 47.90, and if we can get a nice push up, I'm just going to cover it there. So we're at 47.80, 47.70. Let's see. All right, there we go. I just need a green candle for the overall confirmation. Nope, it's struggling. It's really struggling, and this thing's starting to push back up again. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to get out at. Dang it! There's the break of pattern. That's my fault, and I should have seen that. Okay, Google, Next song. Really dislike that song. So, yeah. Do you see why? So I tried to be a little bit more not conservative, but a little bit riskier on this one, since I usually don't tend to do that. And obviously it doesn't play in my favor. But you can see that there is a potential for this thing to bounce at around the middle view up and stuff like that, and then continue that uptrend pattern. Now it's showing a little bit more of a rejection, so now it's actually starting to trade below the middle view up, which isn't very good, right? So we're having a nice little push up. Looking at /GC, are we getting a rejection? I'm going to use this rejection to get out. So /GC is pushing up. And I'm going to sell. Where's it at? 47. There we go. All right, I am done. So again, I might have sold way too early, and I know that this thing definitely has the potential to continue to gap up and stuff like that. But again, I'm just explaining like, and looking at the MACD and stuff like that, like yes, I do even see signs of why this thing can continue to trend up, like looking at it a little bit closer. Now that, again, my dollar value amount that I had invested was just a little bit too great right now. So it was just a little bit too high. I hope you guys understand why it is that I decided to cover profits. MACD indicator does show signs of like, these bars being able to go a little bit smaller and then showing the potential reversal. But it's just hanging on with this EMA line pointing down, hanging on in the middle view up a little bit too long for me. It makes sense on why I should cover profits. I'll set my alerts for there when there's a break above $48, but it's Friday. I am up over $1,000 on the day, right? $1,120, and there it goes. There it goes. Of course it does. That is hilarious. But, it's all part of the game, right? So you learn to cover profits. You learn to, yeah. All right, let me know if you guys... Yes, so master of pips. So Herrick Yellow, in yesterday's stock, you didn't want to mention about one specific ticker, and it was DRIP. It was DRIP, the one that, and look, wait, hold up. Do you guys see this pattern that it's happening right now? It's showing more signs of an uptrend pattern. So validated that. Again, it just pulled below. That's why I got a little anxious, and it looks like it's pushing back up again. So great for those that have a little bit more patience to hold and stuff like that. It's just my dollar value was a little bit too high, and that's why I just felt more comfortable just covering profits. But yeah, so yesterday I made a video talking about like the top 10 stocks, and it was just kind of like a follow-up video and stuff like that based on the one that I filmed on Monday, and people really liked it. Like I feel like the video did very well, and I got into detail about like technical analysis and stuff like that. But the reason that I don't want to talk about DRIP is because it was actively trending down, and it is still actively trending down. But the reason that I saw value in it was because of /CL getting rejected, and also yesterday it did not have it was its first screen day. Although it wasn't very big, I mean, even the day prior, the overall rejection that it received wasn't that great. There's been a lot of consolidation for a couple of days, and that's why I was like, hey, this could be a very good sign for DRIP and potential reversal pattern. There's no question that looking at Gush, you could see that it was way overextended and it's showing signs of this peak formation. But again, I want DRIP or Gush to drop below $30, and then for this thing just to get the overall confirmation that it's trending down. That would give me the reassurance that, hey, Gush is getting rejected, and based on that pattern, I would have a much better understanding that Gush is going to start actively trending down and stuff like that. So then DRIP, can progressively push back up, and I want to see this EMA line start pointing up, because right now it's not pointing up; it's very horizontal. So let's make sure that we understand that. But that is it. Dustin, what's going on, my man? Great call, Ricky. Green is green. I like it. I had a feeling it was DRIP too. Wait, who is that? Oh, was that you? Was that you, Don? This guy? I don't think I've ever seen that username. So I'm going to hold DRIP over the weekend. Looks like it's consolidating overnight. Just know that you are taking on a risk by holding it over the weekend. All power to you. But yeah, all right, sounds good, Don. It's That is so funny. So after going through the LPP course, it's like finally seeing the matrix. No, it's much easier, right, to be able to understand and make sense of patterns. That's what I would hope, right? That you guys now have a much better understanding on how to understand patterns and how they work. So as long as you guys, and I want you guys to know that just because you go through the course, right, like if you guys are going through the course and in the very beginning, I need to create like some more structure, even like some videos before we get into detail about the course on how I would recommend for people to maybe approach the course. Because some people just hit the course, dedicate like a full day and just watch the entire thing. It's a lot of information to take in. So what I was thinking was like, what if you guys just, I set up this structure that it's like maybe a two-week process. You dedicate 30 minutes, 5 days out of the week to learn about what it, learn content from the course, information from the course, and then there's like 30 minutes is you dedicate to learning, and then you invest 1 hour to testing the waters and testing what it is that you learn. I think that could be a very effective strategy because as you'll progress through that 2-week period, it's going to stick, and that's exactly what we want. So. Okay, so that's a good question. So Scout One is saying, I was a bit confused today with the going back and forth between all the charts, trying to see what you were looking at the time frames, which was I gave up trying to follow along. So Scott, can you answer? So I'm not too sure why your call-out is being deleted. I'm not deleting anything. But Scott, can you answer this? Have you gone through the green candle right here, green candle for JDST, which is showing signs of an uptrend pattern. So have you gone through the entire course and have you completed the ETF section? Can you answer that for me? Brandon. Okay, so JDST is definitely pushing up. Yes, but it's been a while. I should go back to the ETF section. Okay, the reason that I was going back and forth, let me just answer this question. So the reason that I was going back and forth is you need to have the understanding of the correlation between /GC and JNUG. So looking at we can look at the Flux grid, and we'll do 180-day charts for both of them. So I'll do this very quick, so if you look at JNUG, right, which is the bull ETF, and then you look at /GC, which is a gold future, you're going to see a correlation on when /GC goes up, so does JDST. There's a very similar pattern, right? Well, it zoomed in on this as well. There's a very similar pattern, and then when this thing gets rejected, so does this. So the reason that I was going back and forth between the charts of /GC and it getting rejected is because when this gets rejected, then that means that JDST is going to push up. Does that make sense? So as long as and then again, the correlation is never 100%. It's not exact because you can see right now /GC is actually starting to push up, but yeah, JDST is the one that's actually pushing up. So I know some people might be a little antsy about that, what the heck's going on there. Just be aware that there's a similar correlation, just like with /NG and UGAS. But the correlation doesn't have to be there 100%. So just make sure that you understand that. But yeah, that's why I was going back and forth. There we go. JDST just broke above $48. I had a nice pop. I honestly should have covered profits way up here when I started seeing the consolidation. But again, the reason that I did not cover profits up there was because of the understanding that, and look, the MACD is starting to curve back in. RSI is starting to point back up. That's actually very good for JDST. So the reason that I did not cover profits up here was just because I wanted to be a little bit more, not risky, but I tend to miss out on decent amount of margins just because I tend to cover a little bit too early. Looks like I still covered a little bit too early anyways when I thought that there was a break of pattern just because that EMA was pointing down. And again, it's what you feel comfortable with. So it was still a solid trade. Yeah, but you could see /GC starting to curve back up. So, that's what I would be a little careful about. So I'm going to set my alert here and set an alert. So I don't know if I'm going to take another day trade position. I'm probably going to keep it pretty simple today. We'll do a breakdown on all the stocks that are on my watch list, and then kind of go from there. Does DUST mimic JDST? Yeah, so I can't say that they mimic, but they offer very similar patterns. So so yeah, and then NUGT follows JNUG. So yeah, so we're gonna have a beginner section. So good question. /NG blasting off. That's actually really good for you guys then, right? Because DGAS then should end up getting rejected pretty aggressively. Why can I not find my futures? Because they're not here. Yep, there it goes. And then that should be in favor of you guys. There we go. You guys definitely showing that reversal. Watch out for that potential rejection on that SMA indicator. Do you guys see that? Right before that $56 price point. Drip is pulling back. Looks like it pulled back. What's that margin? 2%. 2% on a descending pattern and making lower highs. Not very attractive. All right. There we go. Now it's still building a lot of consolidation. You can see that it's building a lot of support with this EMA line and this middle view up, so that's very attractive for that. ESV showing signs of a potential rejection. It makes sense. We talked about this yesterday. There's one of two things that can happen. It can pull back and it'll bounce here and then continue the uptrend pattern, or pull back just because it's at a previous resistance and then end up getting rejected and continue trending down. So looks like right now it's getting rejected, but you know, it could catch and then continue to push back up. So I'm looking for a day trade. I'm not looking for a swing trade or anything like that. And it looks like, that's actually pretty cool. So it pulled back, pushed up, pulled back. It's making higher lows. So that's good. And then it should be making higher highs. So hopefully it could break $9 this time. I'm tired. And there it goes, /GC again getting rejected, which is in favor of JDST. And there goes JDST. I missed out on a decent margin. So, hey Ricky, do you think JDST can in time go back to that 180-day SMA? Looking like it can. I mean, anything can happen, but realistically of what's going on, it's right now the current pattern is the middle view up and top view up. So that's what I'm focusing on because that's what's relevant. So anything can happen when you ask yourself that, like, hey, can it pull back all the way down to that, you know, middle view up, the EMA? Yes, but realistically, I don't think that's going to be very, very realistic to happen, at least right now. So I'd just ask yourself, like, be realistic with yourself. Like, what's the current pattern on how it's trading, and you know, focus on that. So right now it's trading in between the middle view up and top view up. Man, I missed that on a decent margin. Once again. All right. All right. Sorry about that, but I actually didn't see that. It's not how many days. I wouldn't say how many days are needed to confirm an uptrend pattern. It's just making sure that it's validating some, like that it's making higher highs, and when it pulls back, then it makes lower highs as well. So you need to become more familiar with overall patterns. And too many people are like, you're asking too much of a general question. There's no exact time frame or anything like that. So. Let's see. WTTR. Very low volume. Okay, and it looks like it's getting rejected by this SMA. This is something that you guys all should be able to see, right? I mean, did you call that out? So 1550 to 1680. So no, yeah, you're saying to get in like right here and then to get out at 1680 with the understanding that, hey, this SMA has acted as a previous support and it's going to be acting as a new resistance. You could see that, you know, it hit that $16 price point and then got rejected. You guys need to be like, you need to dedicate more time to understand margin, like where the support and resistance level is at, and it's at a resistance right now. That's not a good buy. We need to see that for there to be the EMA to cross above the SMA, for it to be back at, you know, the SMA being a support and not a resistance, and then continuing that uptrend pattern. You should be able to see like right away that, hey, it's way overextended, RSI is oversold, it's starting to show signs of a potential reversal pattern, and it's showing that it's getting rejected by a resistance that was previously a support. That should be right away a huge red flag. $180, and again, Brandon, the setting features are set up on that, how to set up your, even the SMA line. You guys can watch the video in the course. Okay. A lot of the questions that are being asked, guys, and again, I'm trying to be as patient as I can. A lot of the questions that are being asked are, I think, are questions that are just being asked just for the heck of it. And I get that, like, guys, but we need to do a better job. Just dedicate more time to, like, understand these patterns. Like, a lot of questions that are being asked, like, are just, I don't know. I don't understand, like, with the information that I shared in the course, like, how these are still questions that are coming up. Maybe I need to do a better job explaining something in the course, because I feel like I've made a video for every single question that's being asked. Like, I really need you guys to complete the course and to really understand it, not just push right through it. So 30 minutes a day to test it and to watch it, and then an hour to 2 hours to test what you learned. /GC just made new lows. JDSC is pushing up, probably going to be making new highs soon. Yeah, there it goes. All right. %. Yeah, so questions will always be there, but again, it's learning, like, it's first learning like the material on the course and then testing the waters, and that's why we're saying that simulation trading is very effective, right? All right. Okay, so it looks like you guys just want me to do a couple breakdowns on a couple of the stocks that are on my watch list. So someone is calling out ticker symbol IO, so I'll just do a breakdown on that. And then I'll start doing a couple of other breakdowns and then kind of go from there. So on this 180-day chart, it's approaching that resistance at $30 that we talked about before. Pretty solid ascending uptrend pattern, so that's great. And I mean, it's been doing a very good job. You know, showing signs of this continuous growth since the call out that we had when it was breaking above the EMA, right? When it was consolidating at around 25, it's gapped up all the way up to 30. $30 is a previous resistance, so it's more at a sell right now, right? It's showing a little bit overextended, but it definitely still has margin to potentially push up. So let's make sure that we understand that. JNEG, again, right now actively trending down due to the overall rejection that it's been receiving, so that's good to understand. ESV showing a potential reversal as well, so let's follow up with that and see if it bounces or actually gets rejected. So right now it's kind of like at a critical point. APA showing the same pattern, showing signs of potential rejection, but it might bounce. We have to follow up with it, but that candle's pretty solid at below. Macy's is actually having a green day, validated that overall EMA pushing up, overall resistance, just like we've called out multiple times, at around $31. So keep a close eye out for that. Showing some slight of potential reversal. Do you guys see this for OAS? It's at a previous price point of what, where it might pull back at, so showing a potential curling pattern. But we might want to follow up with it. This wouldn't be something that I would trade today just because it's a little bit overextended and it would be more of a swing trade, and I just don't want to hold it over the weekend. So that's something that I would ask myself. So ticker symbol DRIP, trying to push back up, getting rejected by this EMA right around that $9 resistance. What we want to see is for this thing to continue to make higher highs. It's definitely been struggling to hold above $9. There looks like to be a margin from the bottom view up to middle view up today. That margin isn't huge. It's still something. And if you want to break for highs of day and then for making new highs, just the margin isn't really worth it for me as of now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set my alert to see if there's a break of pattern. If it starts to push up, then maybe I could follow up with it. But right now, it's not very attractive for me. I'll set my alert if it starts to break below the support as well. So, and UGT actively trending down. This is a correlation to JNEG, right? And then we got some slight consolidation happening right now with /GC and JDST, right? So same thing happening with JDST and /GC. So it's still showing signs of an uptrend pattern, but just a lot of consolidation. So let's just note that. And then on this 180-day chart for ENPH, we called this one out when it was actively trending up. Overall resistance at around $5. It's still pushing up. This thing tends to have pullback. So right now, I do see this thing to be a little bit more on the overextended side for there to be a potential pullback within the next couple of days, and then for it to continue the rally leading up to $5. So Gush itself is having a red day. Obviously, the inverse is DRIP, so DRIP is having more of a green day. What I would like to see with, just like I said a little bit earlier, what I would like to see with Gush is for this thing to actually break and hold below $30. If we get that confirmation, then I would be that much more comfortable swing trading DRIP as it continues to push up. So, something to look forward to. And then this one has very low volume, but is actively trending up. And again, I wouldn't invest a large dollar value. Watch out for the earnings and take that into consideration. But I definitely do see this thing pushing up. It has a very consistent uptrend pattern. Because of the low volume, it could be very volatile. So again, just please note that. But when it does get pushing up, it is pretty consistent with that. So just note that there is going to be a slight resistance here right around $28. And then the following one is going to be right around $30. And then the one that follows is around $32. It's about almost every $2 price point. So, yeah. So if /GC went back to the middle view up, would that influence for you to get back into JDST? No. So JDST has pushed up a pretty decent amount for the day. Looking at the overall pattern for kind of like, especially the first day of confirmation, right? Today's like the first day of this thing pushing up. Yes, I do know that it can push up, but I don't know. I feel like it's pushed up a pretty decent amount. /GC is also very close to this SMA line, which I see it to act as a potential support. So that's why I'm a little iffy to get back in. I was thinking about it for /GC, but it has too much of a support building up, right? And because of that, I just don't want to get in and there to be a reversal. And then, yeah, just for the heck of it. So again, I'm trying to focus more on quality, not just because there's potential opportunity, but making sure that that opportunity is worth it. So if I see that /GC rejects that support and it continues to trend down, then I could always get back in. Just think about it. JDST is at $48. It has a margin from 50 to 60. We have nothing but margin. So I just need to be patient. Oh, man. I love sneezing almost as much as I love sleeping. I personally feel like the hardest thing is sitting on your hands. I just covered some profits on DRIP and now have cash to reinvest, but nothing is looking attractive for a swing trade. So that's actually a very good point that you made there. I've been there, right? Just the urge to want to trade. I would just, because you're already up on the day and already taking that it's Friday into consideration, be very, you as an investor, just think about yourself as like a quality investor. You're not going to just invest in anything, right? Like in any business. So make sure that you don't just invest in any stock, especially as something has played out well for you, right? Because thinking about the big picture, you don't want to discourage yourself. So if you want to potentially invest in something today, just ask yourself, hey, is it actively trending up? It has to meet certain criteria that's pretty high, right? And does it offer maybe a 3 to 5% margin intraday? And if it does, then great. And if it doesn't, then don't worry about it. Let it play out, and we have all next week to make money. I'm on this new level, breakfast burrito level. Oh man, I like that. You talk real fast, my man. All right, I'm sorry. I'll try to slow down a little bit. So is JDST a cup and handle pattern? So I think that you would be talking about the overall 180-day EMA. Wouldn't necessarily call that a cup and handle. I usually call cup and handle patterns when there's a drastic sell-off. So when there's like an earnings report, huge sell-off, and then it builds more of a cup, right? This wouldn't be much of a I guess you can call it that. It built a support. It was just getting rejected by this EMA, and now it's pushing up above it. So yeah. All right. Oh, 100%. So this is actually a really good point. So good morning, Ricky. I feel like a lot of people are afraid to pull the trigger on a stock, and it's better to ask a person like you or others if it's a good play instead of just learning. And 100%, that's something that I 100% like agree with, that's what people feel most comfortable with. But that's the habit that I want to break. Because like, let's say I'm not here tomorrow, like I want to make sure that, again, I've said it multiple times, I want to make sure that you guys can become self-sufficient traders. And it's going to take time, and I know that, and I know there's going to be questions. Like I answered a bunch of great questions yesterday. I cut up on all my direct messages. If I didn't respond to your direct message, then it's probably for one of two things. You probably asked me to where you should exit, or where you should. It was probably a question that I'm not going to answer, as in like where you should exit or enter a stock, which is not something that I would answer for you. Or your question was, like I've said, I get over 400 to 500 messages every single day, and if your direct message to me is like a paragraph long, then unfortunately, you guys need to just get straight to the point with whatever your question is. And if it's an in-depth question, if it's a very open-ended question, then you should be asking me during these live chats, because I could respond in an efficient manner. But literally, people sent me like paragraphs, not just even like even on my computer, it's like it takes up like this much space, and it's just like I come on, guys, like I don't have time to just be behind my computer the entire time. We have these morning chats. I know everyone's gonna have questions. If you want to direct message me a question, then just get straight to the point. Be like, hey, what do you? I see value in this. What do you think about this and this and this? And just make sure that it's an actual position that you want to take, or it's an actual concept that you're wanting to learn. Because I want to give a shout out to. What is it? Michael. I don't know if Michael's tuning in, but Michael does, like, he asked me like pretty straightforward questions about like, hey, I don't want you to tell me like, it's usually like after these morning chats, he asked me like certain questions about like, hey, I saw you take a position on this, or I saw you take a cover profits on this. Can you explain to me why? Like, let's say if I didn't do it, I would recommend to better just ask me those questions while I'm live. But if for whatever reason you don't catch me live, then I understand why you're asking me during the direct message. I just want you guys to get straight to the point with the direct message that you guys have, because your time is very important to me, and so is mine. And if I'm spending 5 hours a day responding to direct messages, that's just I'm not going to be able to do that. Like, I can do that for only such a long period of time that I'm going to just get burnt out, and then I'm going to have to hire people to answer questions. And I'm pretty sure that's not what you guys want, right? You'd much rather have me like answer your questions and stuff like that. So that's what I'm trying to do. But these questions that I get sometimes, guys, I responded to all. I followed up with all my direct messages before the market even opened, and you could only see within the short period of time there's already direct messages like lining up, and it's just. Like, I get it, but I think a lot of the questions, like almost like 75% of the questions are either covered in the course or are questions that are just being asked just for the heck of it. So I think drip is going to take off. Okay. No, Joy, never going to leave you guys. That's weird. So Austin, so that's actually a pretty funny concept that you just are talking about. So I have found that on my first trade of the day, I typically lose money, but if I take a second or third trade, I usually make money. So then that means you might just have to be a little bit more patient with your entry points. You might be getting a little bit too early. So then before you get in, just again, give yourself a 10-minute period before you get in to get the reassurance that, hey, whatever it is that you are actively investing in is actively trending up. So as long as you could focus on that, then that would make a little bit more sense. Hey, question on X, break a pattern. All right, let's break that one down. Yeah, Michael, what's going on, Michael? What's going on, bud? So it is a different Michael, the one that I was talking about, but you're still the homie too. So yeah, ticker symbol X. I mean, it was following the pattern. Like we called out the resistance at around 38. So there's not necessarily a break of pattern. It did pull back, and it's done that multiple times. So is this a break of pattern? Like, no, it's broken below the EMA multiple times. Again, this isn't very important, right, of it getting rejected because it's not confirming an uptrend pattern. So don't care when it's selling off. All you care about is when it starts to reverse back up, and if it starts to reverse back up. If it doesn't, then don't worry about it. I mean, it's not actively trending up, so you shouldn't be investing in it anyways. Yeah, this thing continues to get rejected. All right. All right, guys, but we're at that time. We've been here for about an hour. All right, some people still want me to do some breakdowns. I'll try to break them down as soon as possible. And again, so SQ, yes, 100% is actively trending up. So yes, I do see value in this and why it would start pushing up. Just know that it has been pushing up and there might be a slight pullback, but as long as you're okay with that and you understand the ascending uptrend pattern, then great. It's been validating the SMA and the EMA as a support, so that's attractive as well. I'd say more of a support would be around $50, and it looks like it's just follow the pattern that it had before. Try to understand this pattern on how it would have some green days, red days, green days, red days, and stuff like that. So drip just had a pullback. So yeah, just become familiar with the overall pattern. So what time frame should I be looking at for you guys to be trending back down? You should be looking at every time frame until you understand and see a pattern on where it might get rejected or where it might bounce. So look at previous patterns and look at previous time frames and what validated where. So remember when I was doing my technical analysis on I think it was drip, and when I was doing like the 5-day 5-minute or what was it, the 5-day 15-minute or something like that. No, it wasn't this. It was like the 5-day 5-minute. And I was seeing that, hey, it would get rejected every single time. I was just going through the time frames and seeing what indicators are relevant at what time frames and when it was getting rejected. So you need to do the same thing with all the different time frames that you have available to see what time frame is relevant to the overall pattern for you guys and where it confirms it to be overextended or where it confirms it to be a support and stuff like that. So you need to, do your own digging. So start breaking down using different time frames, seeing which one's relevant, where it normally acts as a support, where it normally acts as a resistance, and what makes more sense to you. So yeah, I would say the 15-minute chart does a pretty good job on when it acted as a support and then when it's starting to act as a resistance. So yeah. Currently in SQ, do I think that this is a solid swing trade? Again, just ask yourself, why is it that you see value in it? Do I think that it has potential to continue to trend up? Yes. Do I think it has potential to pull back? Yes. I'd say that there would be a break of pattern if it breaks below the SMA. That's the indicator that I would keep my biggest eye out for. So set your alerts if it goes like sub 50. But yeah, it's definitely pushing up and it shows a very consistent ascending uptrend pattern. You need to become familiar with previous patterns that it's had as it was actively trending up and how it reacted to the EMA line. Does it pull back below the EMA, and what can you look at like on the RSI or the MACD for it to recover and stuff like that? You need to become familiar with that. Oh, man. Of course, Amy. Thank you again. I already broke down X. What is it that you want me to... So you already bought it at $37. Can you please suggest? I don't know what you want me to suggest. These are the questions that I really dislike. You bought something, and again, I don't mean to throw you under the bus, but you bought something when you don't know where you wanted to enter, you don't know where you wanted to cut losses. This is something that we talk about all the time. There's an obvious pullback that is happening right now. Ask yourself, is this a break of pattern? So try to follow, some an overall pattern of how it was progressively pushing up. Yes, it's selling off. This is all part of swing trading. If you're not comfortable with it, then you should have not taken a position so high. This was not a good deal. It was pulling back, and it was not showing signs of an uptrend pattern. So if you're doing it as a day trade, then you should have looked at day trade indicators or day trade time frame, so closer to the 1 minute, 1 day EMA. But it's pulling back. There's no question about it. It's more at a support right now, but there is no sign of a reversal. So, I'm not here to tell you where to buy and where to sell. If you can't decide that yourself, then I'm sorry. But again, you need to do a better job before you take a position to ask yourself, yeah, all right, I'm done doing technical analysis. I'm sorry, guys. You guys need to do a better job understanding where the support and where the resistance level is at, if you're getting a good deal and if it's actively trending up. Okay, I'm swing trading it. My plan was to get out at $38. Yes, but when was your plan to get out if it did not go according to your plan? Because again, not every stock is going to go according to your plan. Okay, I 100% get it, and you might be new and you're just getting started. I would say dedicate, because you didn't set up a stop loss plan. It means that you probably don't have enough structure with your trading. Nothing wrong with that. We've all been there, right? I'm not here to discourage anyone. You need to dedicate more time to build more structure and to understand why it's so important. So I think you need to start simulation trading or trading with a much smaller dollar value, just because you're just not there as of now. And I think a lot of our traders are just getting started, right? There's no question about that. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I just think that people jump into the game a little bit too aggressively when they first get started. Take a step back and really understand. Ask yourself these 3 questions. I actually really like these questions. Ask yourself, is the stock and the pattern that I'm investing in, first of all, is it actively trending up? There's actually going to be 4, I think. Is it actively trending up, right? On this 180-day EMA, is there an ascending uptrend pattern, or is it showing signs of an uptrend, a potential reversal, right? Second thing is, do you understand the pattern? Is it a very consistent pattern that you're able to understand? Is this an ascending uptrend pattern? Is this a horizontal pattern? Does it make sense to you? The third thing is this a good deal? Understanding the support and resistance, the margin of potential profit. Is it overextended, so is it closer to the resistance, or is it oversold? Ask yourself that. And if it's overbought, but it's still actively trending up, just know that you're taking on a risk of getting in a little bit too high. So there's a risk that you might have to cut losses if there's a break of pattern very quickly. But if you're getting in at a good deal, then again, there's less risk in that perspective, but there's still risk involved. And then the last thing is, do you have an exit strategy? Because you understand the pattern, when there's a break of pattern, are you going to be able to understand that and then cut losses? Just like with your call out. You wanted to sell at $38. There's a break of pattern, right? Started to continue to descend. You should have cut losses, but you didn't. And I understand why. It's still pulling back, and it's still, I don't know if you knew this, but it's still actively trending up on the 180-day pattern because of the ascending uptrend pattern. You just got in way too high. Very simple mistake that I've made multiple times. Nothing wrong with that. Cynthia, I actually really like that. So Cynthia's saying, I waited all week for a good trade and made profit today. That's what it's all about, quality. But it takes time to get there. It takes time. Just know that we have members here that have been with us since the first month that we started Learn Plan Profit, and also they've probably been trading prior to that. So we have some pretty experienced traders, right? A couple months. Some people that are just getting started that know absolutely nothing, don't think that you can just jump into this and that you'll start, you know, like my $1,000 day is not something that like you could really expect, right? And realistically, your first couple of weeks trading. But it's something to work towards. And as long as you work on a consistent basis, dedicate small times, 30 minutes, 20 minutes a day, learn something new, and then start testing the waters. That's all I ask. For every 30 minutes that you dedicate to learning something new, invest 1 hour to test what you just learned. And the course in reality should probably take you about a week to 2 weeks. Yes, it's only like about a little bit over 6 hours, but you should dedicate more time to test the waters as you're learning. And don't overwhelm yourself. Don't just watch the entire course. Yes, I know it's very interesting. No, I'm just kidding. But like, yeah, don't overwhelm yourself. Learn something and then test it. So, JP, so again, there's still no update on the warehouse. We're still waiting to purchase a house and then moving on from there. So Alvin, I did not take a position on /GC. I took a position on JDSC because of the reversal pattern that it showed. Learn it, practice it, master it, trade it. I like that. That's actually really good. I'm going to write that down. So I like the learn it, practice it, trade it. Or no, learn it, practice it, master it, trade it. I actually really like that. So, and then what's your name? Forrest T. So Forrest T. Learn it, practice it, master it, trade it. Okay. Yeah, so all right, guys. I hope that you guys all have an amazing rest of your day. I'll keep you guys up to date if I end up taking any other positions, but I think I'm pretty much done for the day. If I end up taking anything else, it's probably going to be a day trade, nothing as a swing trade. I probably don't want to hold anything over the, the weekend or anything like that. So thank you guys again for your time. What the heck? Okay. All right, guys. So hope you guys have an amazing rest of your Friday. I'll be catching up to direct messages as of now. Enjoy your breakfast. All right, guys. Take it easy, team. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to direct message me. All I ask you is if you are going to ask me a question, just to get straight to the point. You know I'm here to help you. It's been a long week for me, so I do apologize for that. I don't want to discourage anyone from not, and you guys don't have to apologize or say that I'm busy or anything like that. Direct message me. Just get straight to the point. I mean, I'm here to work for you, right? I'm here to help you. So just note that. Just let's be efficient with one another and make sure that we ask relevant questions. So thank you guys again. Hope you guys all have an amazing Friday. And like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take it easy, team.